Welcome back. Yep, I'm George. This is Barley and Hops, and we're glad to be here today. 36 a liter Alembic still. We've done the initial review. Now it's time to run it. You ready? That's the kind of booze that they serve around here. Made our way back in top of them hills where they plenty of. Well, here we are. Yep, it's that time. We're going to run this thing today, and so we're going to show you how it works. I'll probably even draw a picture while it's heating up. We've done the old, change the plug on the end from the last video. I've got my power cord ready so that I can move it where I want to. I've got a little bit of an update here real quick. This community is so powerful. I'm telling you, the amazing results. First, thank you, because I learned so much. I had a viewer write in, and they recommended, wait a minute, what did I do with it? I got it here. Yep. See, I start to lose stuff all the time. Remember we did that video on covering the elements, the permanent, that block, really nice, put a gland plug on the end of it so, that way you don't touch those. Well, he wrote in, and I went out and got some. This is amazing. So for those who are not, I'm not saying you're not mechanically inclined, but you just don't happen to have those tools laying around or you don't want to spend that time, there is another fix for that. And that is, oh boy, my gosh, rubber leg tips. I went down to my local Ace Hardware. These are there it is, 1 1/8 inch rubber leg tips. I think I paid like somewhere around $5 for that pack of 4. Now watch this. All you need is a knife or some way to cut a hole in the end of that. It's rubber. And that fits right on the end of that element, nice and snug, just like that. One quick, easy way to cover that element. Those screws, the electrical screws on the elements, so that you don't shock yourself. This one happens to be in white. I'm sure you can get them in black, whatever color you want. Probably not permanent, but doggone it. It's there, but if you bump into it, you can pop it off, but at least it's a cover that stays. And very inexpensive. So thank you to the person who wrote that in. As a matter of fact, he actually sent me a picture of it, and I said, thanks. I wanted to make sure that he gets credit for that. That was an awesome idea. Sometimes it's the simplest things that we tend to overlook, right in front of us. Wow. All right. So I've got this all completed. So what I got to do now is I got to put the rest of this together. I've already filled it up with 5 gallons. All right, this will hold 9.1 gallons, but of course you never want to fill it completely. You want to leave some head space in there for things to start, separations to start taking place. What happens when you fill a still too much? Starts to puke on you. There's nowhere for that vapor to start to collect and move around, so it starts to go and puke on you, and you don't want that to happen. So we always leave some head space. That's quite a bit of head space. Now, brings up a question. How much is too much? Well, it's a whole lot. I would, this is a 9 gallons, I probably wouldn't put more than 7.5 gallons in there. Give myself probably 4 to 5 inches up here space. And that's just a guess, okay? I just guess based on volume. How much is too little? Well, I call it the point of ridiculous. With this type of still where the element is at the very bottom, there's almost not too little as you could put in here. Whatever you put in here is going to get hot. Now, but there's a point called ridiculous. If you put like, a half a gallon in here, that would be ridiculous. All right, there's all other kind of problems. You're going to say, look, you've got all that space in here, and that's going to start to vaporize. It's going to cool immediately and drop back. You're going to have all these challenges, and I don't think you're going to be happy with those results. So does a still really care how much is in it? The still doesn't care. But in order for it to be efficient, you've got to have enough in there. In example, if you've got an element in the side of that, of course, you got to have enough to cover the element, or else the element will fail. You got to have enough in there for the still to actually function. If you don't have enough in there, you've got too much space for it to start to condense on its own and cause a huge lag. So just keep that in mind. George, can I put 3 gallons in a 5-gallon still? Yes. Can I put 3 gallons in an 8-gallon still? Yes. Can I put 1 gallon in an 8-gallon still? Yeah, you got the 40 molar suck. I don't know if I put that little in there, okay? You get my point? All right, let's move on. Be with you shortly as soon as I get the rest of this hooked up. We're all wired up, okay? Now, I didn't want to take you through that painstaking process of watching me hook a hose to here and hook a hose to there, so I got it all hooked up. Again, it's all full. You can hear it running. It's been doing that for about 15 minutes. And then I've got cold water going in, and of course cold water coming out on the other side. And you can see that, yeah, we'll call that a dongle right now. And that's just going to drip down. That's going to be my 4 shots. My 4 shots and heads. And we'll discuss a little bit about that because we're going to talk about sour mash too. Now, I know you've been waiting on that. So have I. Okay, the only other addition that I made to this, and oh, by the way, I've got my cooler sitting way over there with my air conditioner on top of it. You know, that one I made that, so I don't have to use ice. And right now, I've got about 20 gallons of water at 51 degrees. And I've got a pump in there. I'm pumping that water. Now, I didn't use the little pump that they sent, you know, because that's a little Chinese pump. And there's nothing wrong with a Chinese pump, but it's small enough that I would have to have my water, in order to move that volume, I'd have to have my water sitting up higher, so I'd pump across, because pumping it up, so I got these, and I got a couple of them. I got this one from Brew House. It's the model, it's model HL-2000U, okay? And I'll put that up on screen. And it's an aquarium water pump, 120 volts, 60 hertz, 115 watts. And this puppy will pump like there ain't no tomorrow. And I'm pumping from way across the room, all the way over here, up and through, and all the way back over there. So this thing, I got a bunch of them. I got them from Brew House. They're about 25, 26 bucks. You can get these at your local hardware store, or you know, Harbor Freight has them. If you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you're going to pay an arm and a leg. Harbor Freight's got them for 15 bucks. But get one that's going to move a good flow of water, like 650 gallons per hour. At least that's what it'd be rated at. So, and the other adaptation I had to make was, see, you know, I do everything by temperature. We always talk about that. Well, I've got the dial, and the dial is calibrated. Well, it's incremented. I don't know if it's calibrated, but it's incremented. I got it set on 65 right now. That's 141 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, and what I've done is I've added my own probe. You see, I've got, right now I'm at 76 degrees right up here. I just attached a probe to the outside with a piece of tape. Now, how accurate is that? Pretty darn accurate. Watch this. I'm just going to touch this with my finger, and yep, 78, 81. So it's pretty darn accurate. You can just attach your probe at the top, and that way you don't have to drill a hole and stick something in. You follow me, okay? I mean, all that drilling and stuff can be set aside for later on when you want to make a permanent adaptation. So right now we're going to track the temperature, and when it gets to the right place, we're going to turn the water on. What's the right place? Somewhere around 120 degrees. Because remember, when it gets at 120 on almost all stills, it'll go from 120 to 170 lickety-split. Meaning that if you're getting close to 120, don't go to the bathroom, don't go light a cigarette, don't turn around and change the TV, because it'll shoot up there. So when it starts to approach 120, I'll turn the water on, because I want to arrest that. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, well, let's get to talking a little bit while this thing is heating up, because it's just going to do its thing on its own, and there's no sense in us just sitting here watching it, although all men do. So we're just going to watch. Let's discuss this. Oh, by the way, there's just a quick shot of my air conditioner on top of that cooler. You can see right now I've moved up to 59 degrees, so I just turned it back on. And you can see where I got water pump out, and you can see in the back right corner, that's where the water goes back in. Nothing sexy, but it works for me. All right, we're back. Now, and you know, the time it took me to move the board, write a few things, well, I'm now up to 106.8 degrees. And this thing is, I've got to turn it up a little bit more. So there is a difference now. Keep this in mind. My non-calibrated dial, which is only incremented, I'm now up to over 90 degrees Celsius, which brings me close to 200 or so degrees Fahrenheit. And my head temperature, which is here, is really only 104. So this shuts off when the bottom gets that hot. To me, there's not an issue with that, but it's something that you need to know about. That lends itself back to which temperature should you be tracking. Well, I know the temperature in here because this dial shuts off when this temperature reaches an appropriate temperature set by the dial. But it doesn't correspond to the temperature up here. Now we have this ugly combination that there's a lot of discussion around this. You know about it. 4 shots, written 4 and then shots. It's just a shorthand. 4 shots, heads, hearts, tails. Depending on what you read, where you go, who you talk to, the description of what they are completely different. And also where they are is almost a mystery to some people. There are, oh gosh, you've read it, you've seen it, you've gone through it. I did a video on 4 shots, heads, and hearts, or making. I think it's called Making the Cuts, and it's really straightforward if you think about it. And a lot of it has to do with personality, has to do with understanding. While we're at 123 degrees, so 4 shots. 4 shots are that stuff you don't want: methanol, acetone, and a few other ones. So you want to get rid of those. And where do they show up? Usually, see, those are your low vaporization temperature substances at about 145 degrees. They come off. I mean, that's what's going to happen. They're going to do that on their own. And that is for a 5-gallon batch. That's 2 ounces, my friends. Run your still. Please, just throw out the first 2 ounces. I don't care what it is you're making. If you throw out the first 2 ounces, to put it simply, you're not going to produce more than 2 ounces in a 5-gallon mash, okay? In some cases, you'll produce a ½ ounce or an ounce, but you're not going to produce more than 2. If it makes you feel good, throw out 4. But please, just do that, and let's get away from the. And I've heard everything from A to Z. Well, what if I just burn it, and when it turns to different colors, now you got flame with a. That's not a good idea. There's no other way. Obviously, we get tied around this lore or folklore that, well, if you drink that, you'll go blind. Trust me, there's not enough methanol in a batch of moonshine to hurt anybody unless you add it to it. So, first of all, just get rid of it. Because this is what's responsible for the headaches. That's why moonshine is so neat, because there's no headaches from it. If you do it correctly and you make the separations, let me see if it's doing anything. Yes, it is. We got to take a break. I got to show you this. We are now producing, and as a matter of fact, I have gone far beyond my 4 shots, and believe it or not, heads as well, so I'm going to switch this jar. All right, we're going to let that still run now, and we're going to stay here and talk about this. Okay, now what does 4 shots, what are some telltale signs? Well, sometimes there's a little sweet aroma to them, or a pungent, I don't want to use the term pungent, but there's a sweet, like a nail polish in a way. But this little sweet aroma to them. And again, this is more than enough. And so I've got 4 shots and heads actually in 1 jar. Oh, this will be a higher proof. And then if you're using a parrot, you'll notice that your proof will start, and sometimes, okay, let's just, in a pot still, it'll go 160, and then all of a sudden it'll drop. After the first couple of ounces, it'll drop to like 155. You've made the cut. The cut's done. except for what's in the parrot. And you just let, run a little bit more out of the parrot, and then you're fine. But that's an indicator of a foreshot and head. And then these heads are normally no more, and this is experience based, okay? Different combinations of grains and base materials will give you different values, but you don't, okay, I've heard it. George, I'll get a call. George, I threw away the first 3 quarts, and I made 5 gallons, and I'm like, I'm thinking, in most cases, you only get 3 quarts in 5 gallons, but okay, so you toss the first 3 quarts out. It goes, yeah, I wanted to get rid of the foreshots and heads, and I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, you certainly did that, but you got rid of just about everything, because about all you got left is tails. Now, see, we're going to talk about a 5-gallon batch. All right, in my heads, I'll normally not have more than 2 to 4 ounces, if that much. So once I dump the foreshots, if I'm following it, but with you I wasn't, then I'll reach in and smell it, and I might even touch it and taste it, or measure the alcohol by volume, and I may not have to do anything to it, because remember, in the heads is where you have a high concentration of those esters and flavors. The flavor profile that a lot of people desire. Others like it bland, or the neutral spirit, and then you'd want to take off probably 6 to 8 ounces because you don't want any flavor in there. So see, if you're making vodka, as we've already discussed, your heads will be just a little bit larger because you don't want any flavors in there. You want a neutral spirit. So remove 6 to 8 ounces. But other than that, 2 to 4 ounces is fine. And in some cases, most of your flavor is in the heads. Concentrated flavors. Okay, now you run your hearts. You already know that I run my hearts all the way up to, or all the way down to 100 proof and 204 degrees Fahrenheit. I use those 2 data points in order. That's where I stop. And anything behind that is my tails. Now, what are the tails? The tails is all the stuff left behind that you don't want. If you reach in with your fingers and feel it, first of all, when you're in the middle of your hearts, put your finger in, get a little bit and feel it, and there should be some resistance between your fingers. You'll feel it. It's just like, matter of fact, it's even less than water. You'll feel the resistance in your fingers. When you get the tails, if you reach in and get a drop and rub it, you'll notice that it just became real smooth. It's oily. That's what tails are. Tails are all of those fusel oils that were left behind during the beginning of the process that are now concentrated, and those are the things that you don't want because they don't taste good. So George stops collecting here to avoid this. I don't collect tails because I'm not going to use them. You can collect tails and do what you want with them, okay? I don't collect them. It's just, for sake of argument, I see no purpose in it. There may be down the road and there are special circumstances, but just as a given, I don't collect tails because I don't want to waste my time doing that. Are you with me so far? Yes, you are. Let's do this Azeotrope again. This is 94.6%, somewhere around that neighborhood. That's sort of like the limit of where you're going to, you're able to distill. If everything's perfect, you will never get 100% alcohol out of a still. You just can't get there because the azeotrope meets itself at a certain point where the constituents of the vapor of ethanol and water will be equal. And that happens at 94.6%. Just leave that alone, all right? So this is sort of like a diagram of what's taking place during the run. At the very beginning of the run, you'll notice that these 2 points are together. This line is the water line, and this is water volume. You'll notice it goes up, okay? And this is your ethanol line, and it goes up and then down. ETH, ethanol, okay? So here's what's going on. At the very beginning, there's a sharp rise here, which means that you've got more ethanol and a sharp drop You notice those two? You got a sharp rise and a sharp drop of water and ethanol, which means you got more ethanol, a lot more ethanol, a lot less water. Higher proof, okay? And that's where all of that stuff comes out. Now, while this is happening, your water starts to balance off, but your ethanol continues to rise, so the volume, let's draw another line up through here. The volume of ethanol is increasing through your run, and the volume of water is decreasing because in an azeotropic blend, the boiling point, this is a positive azeotrope, the boiling point of the mixture is lower than the lowest constituent. By only about a degree or so, but it's lower than ethanol. So what you have is you have more ethanol than you have water. That's why you've got higher proof, okay? Now that continues to take place. Look at this one. Look at the difference between here and here. You've got a lot more ethanol than you do water, okay? Now as your run starts to mature later on in the process, now see here we're probably somewhere around 175, 180 degrees, and that's just a guess, okay? But because each still is going to be just a little bit different. Now, as you increase the temperature, when the temperature goes up, what happens? Well, your volumes change. All right, you're pumping out the ethanol, but you're not pumping out the water. So that means the volume changes and the mixture starts to change. So the boiling point changes. Oh, it starts to increase. And as that boiling point increases, that's why you have to increase temperature, because you need a little bit more energy to make that separation. What happens is your ethanol volume starts to decrease and your water volume starts to increase. So that's what's going on at the ending of your run. You'll notice it. Your hydrometer starts to drop. You go from 140 proof to 148 proof, or 138 to 135 to 130. You can visualize this in your mind. You're on the back end of that curve. You follow me? This is that easy. You're on the back end of that curve, and now your water is coming up and your ethanol is going down. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. But there comes a point somewhere in here where you select your own point. For me, it's 100 proof and 204 degrees, and that happens somewhere in, probably in this general area. What's going to happen after that? In my mind, okay, after scientifically or by chart, after that, just remember when it started here and your ethanol was a lot higher and your water was dropping, it was a lot lower? Well, here your ethanol is a lot lower and your water is a lot higher. Now it's starting to drag tails in. That's where you get the tails from. Now I know I've made sense with that one. See, this should have cleared every bit of that up, and if it didn't, let me know and I'll try again. But I just want you to understand that there is a reason for everything that's happening and why you make those cuts or how you make those cuts. Now, in the end of the day, and I've got a half-a-gallon jug sitting over there, okay? Why do I have a half-a-gallon jug? It's just my technique. Remember, don't violate the process, but have your own technique. I will collect everything in one jug. I'll mix it all together, and then I'll have a final proof. And then I get to do what I want to with it. Now, there are people that will separate each and every jar. There's nothing wrong with that. That's nothing more than a technique. Now, I know a really good friend, Jesse from Stillet, he does that, but he has a purpose for that. See, Jesse is dialed into, and he's excellent at this, in flavor profiles and what constituents he has at what point in his run that he can manipulate. So he needs that, and he enjoys that. And I say, hey, if you like what you're doing, keep doing it. Do as much of it as you possibly can. My technique is to collect it all, because I'm going to make, like in this particular case, I'm looking to make a really good whiskey. So I'm going to age it on oak, and I'm going to do those kind of things to it. But you have to have a purpose, and then you develop your own technique. I know, I babble too much. you know what we're going to do? We're going to move over to the still, and I'm just going to have to save that sour mash discussion for another video because there's just so much there. We've got to simplify it, but there's so much there. So I'm going to save you the death by pictures for right now. So I think you can see my dilemma. Watch this. See, everything seems to be running right now. I've already got I've got a quart sitting here, and I changed it out because it was running just a little too fast. So here's what I've determined. Watch this. Okay, on. Now, when this thing turns on, it's either on or off. You can hear it. And when that happens, you see the flow. Now that flow rate is too fast. So what I'll do is I'll turn it down, or I can let it go there because it'll stay there at that temperature until it gets to this point. It'll turn it off. And what happens from there is that it slows down and just stops. So my challenge here is that this thing is truly the hysteresis in this is either on or off, and it's got a long lag between on and off. So it gets to X temperature and shuts off. And when it drops below that temperature, it drops below a few degrees before it comes back on, and then it goes up. When it gets to that temperature, it goes over that temperature, it shuts off, and then goes back down. So what I've got is I got this going on with the temperature. It's like me chasing it, and that's exactly what's happening. So I would say that this is prime for the addition of a PID, and that's what I will do to that. I will adapt this with a PID controller because I know where the element is, and all I've got to do is plug it in. But I'm going to put my probe right here in the top at the point of no return down here, where that vapor is exiting, so I can control this flow. See, because right now I can't control it. It's either on. See, it stopped. It just came on. So I'm right there at that point to where it just came on. You can hear it's going to start rolling boil again. So it's 100% on. I don't need that. I need less than that. So now it works well. I mean, I'm impressed with it. Everything seems to work. It's 36 liters, and again, for $324, I'm not unhappy with it. But they could have done a better job with this part, with this temperature control. I'll make that adaptation. Now, I offer that to you. Is this a good still? Yes. Is it worth $324? If you're looking for 36 liters all in one place where everything goes back inside and it stores real nice and easy, yes. Yeah, it's worth it. If you had a PID controller on it, it is an excellent still. It's just or some way to control the temperature other than the dial that's on it. So, now that may answer a question why if you have others that you already own that you're having a challenge with it, that may be because of the temperature control. The temperature control module that they have in here, or actually the thermostat, is such that it's cheaply made. That's all. All right, I'm going to keep messing with this and back and forth, but you've got the gist of it all. That's it. Stay tuned to our next video because we are going to get to sour mash. Trust me. I've got to get there. I just don't want to bore you with the rest of this. Happy distilling.